Hello and welcome to Too Much Time on Our Hands. It's just Russ, Dan, and myself this evening. Everyone wave, might as
What's
well.
up?
And if you're, thank you very much for joining us this evening. And if you're listening, thank you for listening as well. I'm just trying to copy Tom. Tom is
Do you
away
think anyone
Do
traveling.
your own thing, buddy.
is
Just
anyone
do your own
watching
thing.
I
but
don't know.
not listening? Because that's a pretty low. Like, I mean, it's a podcast. You're not really getting much out of it. If,
I'm gonna
That's true.
give you. I'm gonna let you do that again. Start again.
No. Anyway, welcome to Too Much Time on Our Hands. We've got Russ. How you doing?
Hello. All right, thank you.
Dan, how you doing? Dandrek, sorry, Nimbus or Dandrek. Russ the Infinite. He is infinitely good looking and talented and everything. Basically, Russ is probably a human Necron, just with a soul.
Been
Unlike
working very
Necrons.
hard, Duncan. There are Necron tears in my eyes.
Hey.
Yay!
Wah, wah, wah.
Yes. So tonight we are doing. Tom's not here. We
Warhammer.
just love Warhammer. So we're doing Warhammer and we're doing 40k because you know what? We need some light in our lives in these dark days, and why not go to the Grimdark?
You can watch
Because
this.
it's
We are
sometimes a bit
talking-
better.
About possibly the most comedic army in it, though.
Funny robots, which are
Yeah.
not the Conservative Party.
they are somehow. Them and the orcs are somehow the comic relief in 40k.
Yeah,
It's
it's like
in some ways.
orcs kind of always were, but I don't
Yeah.
think anyone saw like the original incarnation of the Necrons.
Yeah.
People going, oh
just
yeah,
that-
I think we really need to play up their comic potential.
Like, so they can't die. That means they can have grudges that last millennia. And we can have someone, and because they're so technologically advanced, they can probably do a bit of time travel and they can probably keep stuff alive. They can put stuff in stasis. We've got fun with this. And yeah, I mean, it's just brilliant. So yeah, obviously based a bit on ancient Egyptian law and the ancient Egyptian religion, kind of, and societal structures, but it just goes bonkers. And so with the whole with the whole new codex coming out, with the whole launch of all the new models coming out, what better time to just leather on about how much we love it.
I mean,
I will
let's just start by saying we're talking about Necrons tonight. Necrons are an army in Warhammer 40k. Let's start with the basics there. A lot of people probably might not know who Necrons are.
They know.
they were originally
People listening to us. They know. You know.
But we're gonna we talk about we whittle on about the Imperium all the time. We talk about Primarchs all the fucking time. We're gonna talk about some filthy Xenos in the form of Necrons. So it's
Well, I think they're really clean. They're not really filthy. I mean, they're all
I don't
metal
know,
and it's
man.
self-cleaning.
Nah, they're all
They've
all
been
grungy and
in-
grimy, and
vaults for millions of years.
there's those ones that like to dress in people's
Just
skins as well.
dusty.
Yeah, the flayed ones are
Yeah, there are
not
the ones-
clean. Yeah, they are pretty
Oh, yeah, I
unclean.
mean, they're
in fact.
So,
Yeah.
Necrons were once a humanoid type race. Some of it doesn't
Oh,
make
we're
any
so
sense,
brittle.
but that doesn't matter. We're so brittle, we don't live for very long, but somehow we still
So
got into space.
this is all the stuff that I'm
even though-
not still super clear on with the Necrons. Because
Yeah.
back in my day, in the sort of mid 90s, they were just Terminators.
Yeah, they
And
had
there
a
wasn't
rule
really
called-
much in the way
Yeah.
of explanation as to where they came from or why they did what they did. They're just fucking robots with skulls.
Yeah.
They're really easy to
Yeah.
paint, and you get cool, clear, green plastic bits to go in the guns. which
They
don't
were
get anymore,
literally just Terminators. I say they had a rule called "Will be back."
Yeah.
Like they put zero effort into that, and then they suddenly went, oh, "These guys are quite popular.
Yeah,
we should probably do something about this."
Sometime in the bit when I was trying to pretend that I was cool and wasn't into Games Workshop, they sort of got a backstory.
On that subject, by the way, I've been listening to so many podcasts with people roughly our age on, and everyone did the same thing, which is that, played it as a teenager, then, played it for a little bit as an adult when I had a bit of disposable income. And then I found sexual intercourse and and music and the pub, and so we gave up on Warhammer, and then we kind of came back to it again.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it's
it
that
seems to
or
be
train
like a
sets
tried,
now, really, isn't
yeah.
it?
It seems to be like a tried
We
and
never,
tested route.
yeah,
We found
but we
music.
have,
Also,
we
Duncan,
kind of
you've got
dipped.
2 children. I mean, I don't know if I need to explain things to you.
I know, but I mean, there wasn't really a very long gap between teenage to early 20s playing Warhammer, and I'm pretty sure regularly we've dipped back in.
Oh yeah, we've been in and out, but you know, it's kind of
I mean, I called it my dirty little secret
re-emerged over
when
the
I
last
first
few years.
ever.
So yeah, Necrons in that time gained a pretty amazing backstory, which is this idea that they are this ancient race that was basically born in a really bad place that meant that they just kept dying.
Yeah.
So they are kept asking for help. They kept asking for the secret of immortality, I believe, didn't they? They wanted to be
Yeah,
immortal.
I need a bit of. So
Well, eventually they got into.
I tend to get very. I find it difficult to go into too much backstory that involves too much in the way of like ancient civilizations raising each other up and then destroying each other, mainly because I tried to discover a bit of Halo backstory and it's ridiculous.
Okay, in Halo, is there a battle called the War in Heaven?
Almost certainly.
Okay, well, regardless,
it's nothing but
War in
an
Heaven's
endless,
fucking
tedious
cool.
chain of ancient races dying of their own hubris until humanity comes along.
Well, that's
Does the same thing.
That's
Yeah.
not kind. It's similar, but it's not really the same. The Necrons did get into space somehow. I don't really understand because they died so quickly.
So
But they were
they
still
started. They
pissed
were just a
off.
humanoid, flesh and blood species to start with, weren't they? Living in like
They were.
a really, you rolled a one on the
think it was
dice
a-
planet, which was sort of right
Yeah.
next to its sun. So they were constantly blasted by radiation and all died by the time they were about
Yeah.
20.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
they appealed to the gods, didn't they, to say they wanted immortality,
They-
they wanted to live forever, essentially.
The old ones helped them for basically developed them to being spacefaring, but didn't want to help them any further because they were kind of already helping the Eldar.
So
And
from
the
what I
Eldari.
remember, the Catan were the people that said, "Hey, we'll help you if you help us," and they went, "Lol,
Uh,
soulless robots."
Yeah, that was a bit after that, wasn't it? So
the- It was a wee bit. It was more that the Catan were these energy beings, and the Necrons helped them trap them, and then thinking that they could use them, and then try to bluff
Well, they did use them. They
their
wiped out.
way.
They did use them.
They eventually did. They first had a fight. They had a fight with the old ones, and both the Catan and the Necrons had got their asses whooped, and then and then they struck a deal, and because the Catan realized that instead of just eating stars, because that's what they were doing, they could just consume. They consumed energy, pure energy, so they would just destroy star systems. They found that they could eat the essence of the soul, and
Yeah.
so the Silent King,
nom,
the
nom,
last
nom.
Silent King, made a deal, and we're going to talk about some of these characters because the Silent King's obviously still around, and they take their time with making the decision, and Orican the Diviner said, this is not a good, this is what will happen. This is what's going to happen if you do this. They went ahead with it anyway, and so they said, the Catan said, all right, we'll give you immortality and the ability to destroy the old ones. We'll just turn you into robots and
Robots.
this living metal.
Yeah.
Necrodermis.
Necrodermis, yeah, living metal and soulless as well. That's the important thing, is that
Well, they didn't actually say they would be soulless. They
No.
just said we will give you immortality. It was just during the biotransference
That was in the
souls.
the EULA that they just sort of scrolled through because they're in a bit of a hurry.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
The point
Yes,
being,
I accept,
was no, they didn't tell them. They tricked them.
Yeah, they were
Otherwise, there's no
conned
way
into
they'd
it.
agree to it.
They you know, they were. Oh, you didn't specify that you had to keep your soul, did you? So
Yeah,
However,
pretty well.
the Silent King, who has felt guilty about this for I mean, forever. He he um, he managed to retain his soul, and then in turn trapped the Catan as well.
Then they trapped them by shattering their shards. That's where you
Yeah.
get the Catan shards, is because they shattered them, and Saul went, "Yeah, now you're ours, bitch," and then
So isn't the thing
realized
you
that they had
can't
caused.
like a Catan can't ever be destroyed.
No.
So they've been shattered into shards, and all those shards are like trapped in places, aren't they? So there
There
aren't
is
any intact Catan running around because they would be like exponentially more powerful than anything else in the setting. But there are a few Catan shards knocking about.
Yeah,
there is the thought that the war in heaven basically created chaos, or formed the first bits of chaos, and then the Eldari went ahead and, after the war in heaven, fucked in.
So the war in heaven stirred the warp up. So chaos was just kind of there minding its own business, and then all of a sudden people kept dying.
then the
Like,
warp.
whoa, this is cool.
This is
Like,
tasty.
various different ways, yeah. And as a result, that
This-
then, yeah,
Created the first, sort of gave chaos form.
yeah, because
Oh, well,
they
that's-
existed, but they didn't really. The warp was like a fairly just like it was meant to essentially just be like
know,
a pretty weird place to
The
be.
immaterial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
You
then
could just
they gave chaos more power. The chaos god, the three at the time chaos gods existed, but they were just kind of like minding their own business a bit. And then all of a sudden,
I mean-
this giant war happened. The war to end all wars happened.
And because also there would have been so much psychic shit going on, because the old ones, the Catan, were basically that. The Eldari were, the
Formed.
old ones were the ones giving people. The Eldari were, given all their psychic
So, yeah.
powers. Even the original orcs, before the orcs were orcs.
Yeah, the
That's when that was all.
Well, they're called like the Crocs or something, aren't they?
something like
Yeah.
that.
Which were like 6 times bigger than a normal orc is
Yeah.
now, and also hyper intelligent.
Yeah. So the old ones created them. The Catan had the Necrons, and it was just this giant war where billions and billions of people died, and then it gave more and more power to these chaos gods, making the warp like a really kind of unstable place to be, essentially. So yeah, they didn't necessarily birth the chaos gods, but what it did was it gave them more power.
Yeah.
Eldar, murder fucking everyone, birthed a chaos god. To be fair, though, that was something that definitely happened.
It was Nemesaur who did the technology for the biotransference, and there is some argument that he didn't actually change. There was no difference from before. Yes, very nice, Dan. That's from Age of Sigmar.
It is, yeah.
Is that
Nearest
one of your
model I
fish
could find.
dudes?
Yeah, it's a giant turtle,
Amazing.
and he's put the guys on the
Quite
back of
cool.
it.
It's like a razorback, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like a cross between a razorback and a dragon turtle.
I've got a turtle. Hang on, I've got a shark too.
So
I do like the sharks.
I don't really
like those
care, but
models.
is there a reason why these things can all swim around in the air?
Because they don't actually swim. They're not actually from underwater. Don't think about it too much, Russ.
Yeah. Never
Oh,
a good
hang on.
idea.
See if I can show you
doesn't
my
matter.
favorite model. I'm sorry, I've sidetracked things a little bit because I'll show you my giant
Us
turtle.
never.
What? Us sidetracked?
This is a giant squid that looks like he's putting his dukes up to fight.
Queensbury
So
rules.
cool.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, carry on. Necrons, War in Heaven.
Yeah, anyway, we've
The
already
other bit I'm
exploded
unclear
too
on,
much.
on the
It
Necrons
was
is when and why they decided to go to sleep. So cover that, please.
because everything was buggered. After
Yeah.
the War in Heaven, everything was so destroyed. They were really weak as well. They were pretty decimated. They figured that though they had shattered the Catan and pretty well annihilated, nearly destroyed all the old ones. We know that they didn't quite. But the Eldari were too well aware of them. They were up and coming, and they figured, well, we're immortal. So the Silent King broke. So at this point, the Silent King controlled everyone. But he broke that command so that everyone got their own self-control. Well, not the serfs, but not the Necron warriors, but the overlords then didn't have to obey him anymore. And so everyone went into Tomb Worlds. He put everyone to sleep, but broke the command code so that everyone could do their own thing and left it for 66
And
million
do you know
years.
why he came back, Russ? Why Silent King were reawoken?
No, so yeah, so they were really knackered after fighting, and they're just like, lads, we'll all have a lie-in. Nobody set their alarms for the morning, and then they slept for
Kinda. Yeah,
40
we'll go
million
with
years.
yes. Do you know why they woke up though?
Yeah, why did they wake up? Apart from somebody in Nottingham had thought of them, and it was time for them to wake up.
I think the Silent King was floating through space, and a Tyranid Hive fleet floated past.
Oh, so is that why? So why was he off floating in space, just being edgy?
Because he was,
Yeah.
no, because he repenting for he felt guilty and he didn't go to sleep. He just watched and learned because he was looking for the time that he could then. He figured that there would be civilizations rising and falling, and there will be a time when it will be perfect, and the galaxy will be ripe for reawakening and potentially new life forms where they could actually then maybe biotransfer back into flesh and blood.
Yeah, but no.
Which is kind of
Most
what-
importantly, was he saw the Tyranids and went, shit.
But the Tyranids came.
Yeah, they need biomass more than we do. Quick. We have
So
problems. Yeah.
he can come back, but there are obviously at the point of people going to sleep, there was suddenly dynastic kind of maybe some people not happy with the Silent King. One of them being Imhotep, the Star Lord. He was one of the
Best
first
name ever,
ones
by
to
the way.
reawaken before Imhotep, the Star Lord. His miniature is beautiful as well. It is. I don't want a Necron army, but I love the characters. They are definitely some of the best character
really
models because they're just so so cool. And Imhotep was one of the early ones. Tomb Worlds. They're basically planets that are Tomb Worlds, and these Tomb Worlds are waking up. And quite often there are people on them. There are civilizations on them, and sometimes
Because it's been millions and millions and millions of years. It's been enough time for
mostly
entire civilizations
Admech.
to develop.
Fucking around with
66 million
things.
years.
Admech
Yeah.
keeps prodding things they shouldn't be prodding. And as a result,
Well-
it fucking wakes up Tomb Worlds.
There is there is a Catan shard. It's the shard. It's the dragon, isn't it? The shadow
The Void
dragon,
Dragon.
or whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
Void dragon on Mars.
Yeah.
And let's face it, the Admech are kind of Necron-y. They're kind of like a human version.
Yeah, they look at
So-
Necrons and kind of,
Yeah, we'll do that then.
yeah.
That's a good idea.
Oh, Ferrus Manus's hands are made of Necron, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
a nice, neat
Necrodermis.
little bit of retconning as to explain why he got his hands after, because obviously they come up with Ferrus Manus long before they came up with the Necrons. But yeah, back when he was growing up, he like wrestled a Necron creature and melted it in lava, didn't he? And got it all over his hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
100%.
so Imhotep is still pissed off with the Silent King sort of creating a bit of a revolution.
Essentially,
I
He's
do like
Imhotep,
that.
I should be in
Like,
charge.
They're like everyone in 40k has to have a thing that stops them just winning instantly. And the Necrons thing seems to be that they're all petulant little bitches to each other. And they
everyone
don't get
also
on.
has to have a reason why, if two people just turn up to an event with two Necron armies, there is a law reason why they both can fight. Like, it's...
Generally, it's dynastic
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Hate it when that happens.
Yeah. So, like, what it means is, as I say, like, you can, like, everyone has the ability to fight everyone. There's always a reason why Space Marines would be pissed off with other Space Marines. There's always a reason why Orcs would just fucking fight each other just for the fun of it anyway. Chaos, the same.
Yeah.
Tyranids.
Well, Orcs and Chaos spend more time fighting each other than do everyone else anyway.
Yeah. Well, they reckon that's the big problem with Orc. They reckon they'd have overrun the galaxy by now if they just for 5 minutes stop fighting each other
Yeah, you just
and
get
just
your
get
shit
on with
together
it.
and concentrate.
Yeah. Yeah, if they just concentrate for 5 fucking minutes so they could actually get something done.
But that kind of applies to everyone else as well, really.
Oh, yeah, everyone is their own worst enemy in 40k. That's one of the best things about it. Like, everyone is struggling to get their shit together.
Yeah. So they've done a really good job of creating this sort of dynamic stalemate where it feels like everything's at like fever pitch and crisis point permanently, and nothing ever actually changes.
Yeah. If anything, things just get a bit worse. Like, I mean, since we were into it, Cadia blew up. Rest in peace, Cadia. Cadia stands. Which caused a massive rift that split the entire galaxy and the universe in two. Or galaxy in two.
Russ, we need to check we've got the real Dan as well. So, just tell me, remind me, Dan.
The planet broke before the people did. You got the real Dan, all right? The planet broke before the guard did. Well, we'll get into what happened on Cadia involving the Necrons at some point as well, because that's fucking hilarious. Yeah, so Necrons are fun, and the reason we're talking about this is because 2 new codex just came out for Warhammer 40k. We've got the AdMech codex, and I can't be bothered to talk about AdMech unless we are literally just going to talk about Belisarius Call. And
I don't know enough about him.
We could probably do an hour on the Stilts guy. Like, the one model they got was a guy on stilts for their new codex. Necron got like reworkings of like a load of major characters. They got a dude on stilts with a gun.
I think you'd still struggle to put together a good AdMech army. Like,
yeah, you
like
would.
4 models.
Yeah.
The Necrons also have some of the best characters. Like, we've talked about, the Silent King is a good character.
Yeah.
Brilliant model. It's got a brilliant rule where his monolith will self-destruct and just take out everything. Like, it's a major blast window. Imhotep, the Star-Lord, is brilliant. They've got some really cool overlords. The models are wonderful. They've either got this kind of shroud that teleports or this amazing to hit weapon. But then we've got some amazing characters.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, we'll get into that in 1 second. Because just quickly, if you want an idea of how cool Necrons are, I think the first episode of Pariah Nexus is on YouTube now. And it is awesome. And the Necrons are genuinely a bit gribbly and terrifying in it.
Yeah, they're quite scary.
Really good.
Yeah. Guys, come on, let's just give up on Warhammer Plus, yeah? Nobody will say anything. Just stop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anyone that's got a subscription. I need it so I can sit on the loo and make army lists on my Warhammer 40k app. Genuinely the reason why.
But like, I would pay £5 for that app, but I'm not going to subscribe to Warhammer Plus to get that app. And I think
Pariah
there's a
Nexus
lot of
was
people
really
in the
fucking
same
good,
sort of position. I'm sure it is, but you know, like, it's not. You're not getting the same sort of level of content that you get from like Netflix, which is the same price.
Oh, good lord, no. But what I was going to say though is AdMech had their
PDFs
codex
of old
out.
white dwarfs. It's not enough, guys. Come on.
I've got the real things, buddy. Got most of them there.
That's what lofts are for.
Exactly, yeah. No, you never know. It might be worth something one day. If it's not worth more than 50p now, it will never be worth more than 50p. Do you know what? You might have all these old white dwarfs. So does every other nerd that ever wanted them, because they're all our age and they all started collecting at the same age as us. So the AdMech Codex came out. Cool. They've got a load of new detachments. They all look pretty fun. Better than the one they fucking had. It's still one of the most difficult, most expensive armies to collect. They added a stilts guy, which doesn't help anything really. They've still got one character, which is Belisarius Call. And if Tom keeps not turning up to pods, we'll probably eventually get round to talk about Belisarius Call anyway at some point. So Necrons, they had a codex come out at the same time, and if I'm honest, they are just a bit more interesting. Like, if we get into
100%.
AdMech, like during Horus Heresy, it's a bit different, but like AdMech are just a bit weird, and they're just fuck toasters. So, whereas Necrons have genuinely got some really interesting characters and genuinely some interesting lore and some of the better models as well in 40k as well. So,
The Infinite and the Divine is a book I am either going to audiobook at some point or read because it is so highly rated.
Did you
It's meant to be
see
one of the better.
the deluxe version they announced? It's fucking gorgeous. Like it's they just announced Brutal Cunning deluxe version. And
I know.
yeah.
I didn't see that they had announced Infinite and Divine. I usually go
Yeah.
through the Black Library.
No, it's not come out yet, but
Go on there.
they have announced it. Yeah, so it's worth a
Brutal
look.
Cunning. I know we're going off, but the new model that they've released with Brutal Cunning just makes you kind of want kind of like orcs.
Paul says they are
Just
definitely a great introduction into painting and dry brushing to get shiny boys right now. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, actually, like they are. Well, they're kind of still like the easiest to paint army, apart from the some of the new characters with all their special effects and stuff are now kind of some of the hardest models to paint as well. So, but yeah,
any of the Catan stuff is
you can paint like a Necron dude in 30 seconds and it'd be
yeah
perfectly good. I mean, you
yeah.
can also do it in 8 hours if you're crazy.
If you're going for the non-metallic metals, yeah, which is it's which is fucking insane if you're doing it for Necrons.
That's firmly in the realm of yep. Well, I'm never doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Like same with Grey Knights, by the way. Don't ever do that for Grey Knights as well, because it will take you forever. But yeah, so I think we should get some of the fun characters then, Duncan.
Yeah, so just
well,
so
that's where I was going.
How are there some that are just soulless, mindless, trod robots, and some who are quirky, cool, personality-filled characters?
Some are more useful than others.
It's basically because the rich people, because they are such a feudal and hierarchical society, that
not like the rest of the
wealthier
4K universe.
Yeah, but yes, but far more. Come on.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That those that were essentially royalty, or it was not just wealthy, but like the nobility kept more of their essence. And if you were just a pleb,
wealthy and useful people, basically.
Wealthy and useful.
Yeah.
If you were within the court of a king, because essentially the Silent King is like a high king.
Yeah.
He is the pharaoh of all pharaohs.
He loves
Pharaons of Pharaons. And
thanks, Duncan.
And
High King, Russ.
Yeah. And then you've got his two Pharaons. So the Silent King doesn't speak. He speaks through two other pharaohs, Pharaons. And so Imhotep the Star-Lord is one of these other Pharaons. So there's these like they're now called overlords, but they're essentially like lesser kings. And that's why because it was an empire, you had all these like sub-kings. And that's why you get all the
sub-kings. Is that a technical term?
Sub-kings. Yeah, well, I don't know. Don't really know.
Best thing is they're all fucking bonkers as well.
Yeah.
So one of the characters they've just removed is Nemesis Zandrek, who is one of my favorite characters.
That's a shame.
Okay. Yeah. Nemesis Zandrek. I'm just going to start
with because he was just in Nexus Pariah.
Yeah. So like, let's start with the quote. See, Oberon, the Separatists come, attempting to outflank me, just as they did at the Fourth Battle of Vandak. How they calculate that daubing themselves in green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome I cannot fathom. There is no account. Ready my allegiance. Another glorious victory shall soon be ours. He is a Necron that still thinks he's Necron's here.
And is that Nemesis?
No, that's Nemesis Zandrek. Yeah,
it's Nemesis Zandrek.
Yeah.
Oh. And he always talks like a sort of World War I British officer with this amazing sense of like fair play and honor.
Yeah. So like when they were fighting like other armies, and the reason he's there is because he's a fucking incredible general. Like he is like one of the best military minds in the Necron, but he does still think he's made of flesh, and he is very confused about what's going on. So that's why he's got his trusty servant, trusty vanguard, or his trusty helper, Oberon as well, who is very much in the real world, very much understands what's going on, and much more Necron than Zandrek. There's
there is some thought that Zandrek is kind of putting it on a bit, because there are quotes where he's definitely reveals, because he's also the one that captured the Khan, the White Scars guy, and the load of them.
Yeah.
And he treats his prisoners as proper prisoners of war. He's like, if they're noble, he properly treats them, and then people try to escape, and Oberon just kills them
Just
or
kills them when he's not
claims they
looking.
try to
Yeah.
expel. Yeah, they're trying to escape.
But aren't like
But
other Necrons
Nemesis,
constantly trying to assassinate him, and then Oberon keeps
Yeah.
assassinating
yeah,
them before they can get to his boss?
Yeah. But the point being, he's very good on a battlefield. He's just, stuck in the past, like so many people
Yeah,
are.
I read I read it was either an interview with, or like the sort of the bit at the end of the books they put sometimes with the author that came up with him, and he's saying he was the character was inspired by relations of his that are suffering from dementia, and it's this like you're never quite sure, is he in the moment, is he not in the moment, sort of remembers. There's some things that he just can't get into his head at all, and there's other like old skills that don't seem to fade away at all.
Yeah.
I think that's it's a really interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah, it really is.
And they've managed to genuinely make him a really funny character as well.
I didn't realize they removed his model, because his model was pretty cool because he got the pair, and
Yeah.
he sort of boosted your. Unless he's a legend now.
The 40k universe is worse off without Nemesis Zandrak in it.
So who's
is
the
what I
one
would
who
say.
did the biotransference?
Oh, that's fuck, it's not Zandrak though. It does sound like Zandrak, you're
No.
right. The one from Pariah Nexus.
Yeah, it's not Zandrak, is it? I thought it was
No.
Nemesis Zandrak. I've got my Necrons muddled, but
Oh, I've got my Necrons
So you got-
modelled.
you got Nemesis, and then you've got what's his name? Omicron? No,
They've all got fairly
the
ridiculous
diviner.
names. Is it Caesaras?
Orican.
Yeah, they're Oracan, there you go.
Viserys is the guy who did the biotransference, but he's still working on it. That's what Pariah Nexus sort of demonstrates, that he sort of captures people and sort of goes and gets rid of their, because he creates zombies in it. But there was, I think someone, this might be just taking it from Bricky, to be fair, Adrek, but there is thought that he didn't have a soul to start with, so he didn't really lose anything, and all meant that he could just work all round the clock without any sleep. So he just continued doing what he was doing. Orican the Diviner was the one, he can see into the future.
Yeah.
They've got the what's called chronomancy or chronomancers and stuff, so he can sort of influence what's going to happen in the future. He can also sort of go back in the past to alter the present. So he's pretty crafty, but has a bit of a grudge, because it's what the Infinite and the Divine is all about, with one of our favourite characters, just basically, I think probably the best character in 40k.
Yeah.
One of the best characters. He's up there. He would be my top 5. Transin.
Trazen, yeah, he is
Trazen.
Trazen the
Having
Infinite.
a
So the book
moment.
of the Infinite and the Divine is obviously about Trazen and Oberon. Not Oberon.
Okaran.
Oh yeah.
Okaran.
yeah.
Oh, God, man. Orican. Brilliantly.
Yeah. So Trazen is an eccentric
A collector.
noble who he's a collector. That's the best way of putting it. I'm trying to find a list now of listing some of his collection. Here we go. Let's go. Whole article here on what's in. So what he does is he doesn't just collect like objects and things. He collects people, and not just people. He'll collect a whole army if he wants to, because to put in his vault to recreate battles. So he's got like these historic battles, though he hasn't quite managed to get like people from that era. So there'll be like Ultramarines from like 1,000 years ago fighting in like a Horus Heresy battle, that kind of thing. But I'm just trying to find a list of what was it. I thought I had it and then that was gone. But yeah,
He had a load of custodes.
Yeah,
Because he dropped custodes onto him. He was like, didn't he help out not just Cadia, but also against the Tyranid fleet? It was like, oh, I'll just drop this in.
The
Dish.
Cadia one's amazing. He just opened up his vaults. What he didn't he send a bell into the webway that like helped blow a massive hole into it as well. Am I making that up?
No, I've
There was
definitely
a
heard
bell.
Yeah,
something like
because
that.
the
Yeah.
Necrons just
Yeah, there was a bell ringing.
no, because
Yeah,
he because Necrons discovered the webway, and that's how
yeah,
they got around and destroyed everyone.
yeah. But he there was this bell ringing. He got sick of the ringing or something, so he launched it into the webway and it destroyed a ton of Eldar as well. I can't. Is it really funny story? But I've got a list of everything that's in Trajan's collection. Okay, here we go. The Last High Council of Idari, the Idari Craft World, an exhibit showcasing the massacres of Tragus, a warband of orcs attacking an unknown blue-shelled invertebrate xenos species, a catacombs of Calth during the Underground War, which is a big deal in Horus Heresy, an exhibit labeled "The Death of Lord Solar Macarius," which is 1/10 composed of by Imperial Guardsmen who are 300 years from the wrong time period. A Catan shard that Trajan is called the source of his power and the crown jewel of his collection, Wraithbone Choir of Altanzar, preserved head of Sebastian Thor. That's a big deal as well.
Oh, he was the ecclesiarch, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Sebastian
during
Age of
the Age of
Age of
Apostasy.
Apostasy.
He was the one that sort of got them back on track, wasn't he?
Yeah. The ossified husk of an enslaver, a giant man wearing Baroque power armor. Brother Cassiel of Blood Angels, seconded to the Death Watch. His face was frozen in a moment of fear. Karnak World Spirit Shrine. Acabrius wore Catachan regiments. A temporal device carrying the Tyranid invasion of Vuros, which Trajan himself sparked. Disposed of after several full-scale battle resulted from Tyranid breakouts. Horus Heresy era Ultramarines, Vistroyan Firstborn regiments, Lost Tanith regiments, Salamanders thought lost during the Clovian disaster, a single Custodes, Inquisitor Greyfax and a retinue escaped during Arcadia. He just let them go basically to go fight fight chaos. This is the one. The Bell of Saint Gersthal, disposed of after causing irreparable damage to his forces and collection. He just kind of launched it into the webway with like no care whatsoever. Lord General Usurka Creed, which we'll get to in a second, a 12-foot tall Krork in power armor, more advanced than Astartes power armor, a damaged but still functioning webway portal, a troop of Harlequins, a massive stock of uncorrupted Emperor's Children gene seed traded to Fabius Bile, a perfect clone of the Primarch Fulgrim. That's the sensible stuff that's in his vaults.
Is there a
clone
why
of Fulgrim?
does he collect this stuff?
Because he's bonkers.
He's going to sell that clone of Fulgrim to Dan as a sex doll.
I just love why he keeps trying. There's things that he keeps trying to steal. Like every now and then he'll just pop up and try and steal the same sword or something. He's like Rocket Raccoon going, "Oh, I'm going to get that arm."
Yeah. So he turns up Arcadia, I think pretty much with the view of, I could get a lot of really cool stuff if I'm here. Fine, get rid of the Custodes, get rid of Inquisitor Greyfax, who's now like a main character in 40k, and get rid of like a load of, I think, Horus Heresy era Ultramarines, and just get them out there and fight. And essentially, it all boils down. The Arcadia all boils down to the fact that it gets to a point where they're having to evacuate the planet because it's about to blow up. And Usurka Creed takes it upon himself to distract Abaddon for as long as possible. And that is not a fight. Usurka Creed's an old dude. Abaddon's fucking Abaddon. This is shortly after Colour Sergeant Yal has taken on Abaddon on his own as well, with his final words being Cadia stands, as Abaddon like just impales him on his claw. So Usurka Creed is beaten to shit. Okay, the Lord General of the Cadians, biggest Imperial Guard army in 40k, and he's thought to be dead before Trajan picks him up and takes him and throws him in his vault, essentially. One of the nice touches is that Asaka Creed's daughter takes over the Cadian army, Ursula von Creed, and she comes to her quarters one day, and his coat's just on her bed. Asaka Creed's coat's on her bed, so she wears it into battle. And the model itself has three claws, like three rips on the back where Abaddon's claw
really
had
cool.
gone through. Really fucking cool, yeah. But yeah, he just went yoink. I'll have that.
So
Just
what is going on with the people that are in his collection? Are they like in stasis or something?
I think they're in a
Yeah,
Like they've
perpetual
been there
state
for
of like
tens
yeah.
of thousands of years, and like not like I know it seems like everyone in 40k is immortal, but most of them actually aren't. So yeah, they must be sort of
Yeah,
in
it's
suspended animation
essentially
or something.
he's gone around, digs around, and just collected stuff. He is just the collector. He sometimes will he's stumbled across a tomb world because he's got his own army as
Yeah.
well. Like it's not just him. He is essentially flying around with his own force, and
He doesn't like
he's
doing
popped
things
up.
himself though.
No, but when he's seen Necrons in trouble, he has
Yeah.
actually come along and saved them. There was, I can't remember which planet, but there was a tomb world that was getting a bit beaten up and probably against the guard or something. And Trazen comes in and breaks the orbital bombardment, and so it totally changes the tide. And then he just buggers off again because he's like, I don't need to stay around. I've got things to do, people to steal.
There's some
I would
great
love it. So I did have a list of other things. I thought it'd be funny if he had actually Rogel Dawn.
Rogaldor's hand. No, his hand was the last thing, wasn't it? That was available.
Yeah,
so yeah.
Yeah, it's his
they've
hand
got
that's
his
left.
hand. It's the rest of him that
Yeah.
they're missing.
Rogaldorn would be a great one, to be fair.
I mean, that would be a perfectly
He's
acceptable
actually
way
got
for a Primarch to
Margaret
come
Thatcher.
back to escape from Trazen's vault. I mean, that is doable, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
As part of their experiments with biotransference, it, he's actually got Margaret Thatcher's soul trapped in his vaults as well,
That ain't getting
just
out
before she
anytime
became
soon.
prime minister. Yeah, well, it would explain everything. I mean, she was basically a Necron. I had a few other Red Rum, Lord Lucan, the entire crew of the Mary Celeste. I thought that would be quite funny. Maybe a whole ship of greys that also had all their abductees on there. And I also think he would probably have a dinosaur just before he went to sleep, come to Earth, because it's 66 million years ago. So he would still be able to have got a dinosaur.
So was he
You know,
collecting stuff before they went to sleep, or is this a recent thing for him? Because he's
think
basically one of us, isn't he? He's got a few models from a bunch of different armies, never really finished anything, just sort of collects stuff that he thinks looks cool. Recently, he's been starting just getting loads of kill teams for no real reason.
He is us essentially.
Yeah.
He probably would enjoy a game of kill teams, but he just wants the actual kill team.
So he's
Not
pretty
the
cool.
miniatures of
One
real
I
people.
don't know much about is Imhotep the Stormlord, apart from having the same name as the Mummy from the Mummy, which instantly makes him cool.
No, he's Imhotep. Because that's
Close
a funny
enough.
pun. It's a funny pun.
He's separate, similar to, but legally distinct from for copyright purposes.
Yeah. Dan's muted himself.
Doing something filthy. So yes,
You can carry on if I
what's-
mute myself, by the way. Feel free.
What's his story? What does he do?
He was his family were in line for succession, potentially of the same throne as the Silent King, and he's also pretty pissed off with what the Silent King did. So he wasn't a big fan of the biotransference, and he is one of the essentially before the Silent King came back, he was one of the more powerful families to reawaken. He was one of the early ones to successfully reawaken and start doing and leading the Necrons. And then the Silent King comes in going, Tyranids, or the two Pharaohs going, Tyranids, and we need to stop this lot. And Imhotep's like, you do not get to boss us around. I'm in charge here. So
They don't
Imitek's
like each
basically
other.
pissed off. Yeah.
If you've got something
They're
against me, say
rivals.
something. Oh no, that's right, you're silent.
Gonna piss off over
If
here.
you don't want me to take over King, just say so.
Yeah. No, 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 not them.
What's
You.
that? What's that?
You say something. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't hear that. There you go.
Excellent. Petty
Yeah.
robots.
I love them. They are so
100%.
petty. It's insane. I think that's what makes them partially so appealing.
The other cool thing about them, of course, is also that they've got technology like, in insane levels better than anything anyone else has got who's actively running around at the moment. So like their weapons just sort of disintegrate people. You can never really kill them. They just repair themselves or teleport back home, don't they? And like download into another body. And like they've got like some of their bigger weapons are quite ridiculous. They do things like something that will like stab into you and then teleport some of your internal organs back 10 seconds in time.
That's like a minor weapon for the Necrons.
Yeah.
The Necrons have several god tier weapons that can just wipe. They have a map that they just point at a planet and it just wipes it out of existence.
I mean, that
They don't always use it.
that is
They
ridiculous.
never use it.
Like that is sort of that's story breaking ridiculousness.
Yeah, they never use it. Adeptus ridiculous. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, they never use
Yeah,
it.
they. I
because-
mean,
yeah.
some of it might not work as well. I mean,
That's the other
in
thing,
like
they
if you
might
go
not
to
work.
the well, it's collected dust, you know. They if you look at like a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you know, the cricket robots, that's kind of what the Necrons are also like. And big weapon, they've got the weapon that would just destroy the galaxy. They have got galaxy destroying tech, so they can do the big doomsday thing as well. But the thought is that humanity, at the peak of the age of technology, also had essentially almost Necron level tech. They weren't that far off. They didn't get to the webway like the Eldari, but they did.
They would have if it
pretty
wasn't
good
for
tech.
that fucking prick Magnus, though.
Magnus did nothing wrong.
Fuck you. Magnus did a lot wrong. Okay, I'm not hearing that. He did so
was
much
a
wrong.
bit foolish. He was a bit foolish.
Did a bit
but
of
it
a
would have helped
whoopsie.
if his dad. It would have helped if his dad actually just explained things
It'd help
and
if his
actually
dad was a
talked.
decent dad, though, wouldn't it, as well?
Yeah, his dad.
Rather than just
Wasn't Magnus actually meant to be quite decent?
the rumor was
all the
Magnus was a
Primarchs.
better psyker than the Emperor.
Yeah. And yeah, why? That's the thing. It's like, oh, I've got a really powerful psyker for a son, but what we're going to do is ban all psykers.
Yeah,
What you're going to do?
yeah.
Anyway, we're getting back to the boring humanity bit. But yeah, so the Necrons do have these amazing doomsday weapons that they. Yeah, the phase shift one, which is you create a shadow copy of a ship, and then it just goes just overlays, so they essentially collide into each other and collapse.
Oh yeah, it like
It's
grabs
brilliant.
another version of that ship from like some parallel universe and drops it into the same place. That's so stupid.
Yes, it is. There's no denying it's not stupid, but it is a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, even just their basic gun, like if it just gets you a tiny little bit, well, I'm sorry, but you're dissolving now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not good for guards,
it's also-
that's for sure.
It's like the scarabs. The fact that the little crypt scarabs, they just go and they just come and over swarm you. But yeah, they're just quite fun. They're quite funny. I mean, I wouldn't want to play against them. Don't even really want to play them, but I do like the models and the fact that you can have you can have the Void Dragon and you can have the Deceiver. as Catan shards, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah. So the other side of it is that their models look fucking incredible as well. Like particularly the bigger models, like anything from the monolith up looks amazing. So
Yeah, they do. They're
yeah,
very cool.
Well, the Doom Scythe as well is a really cool vehicle.
yeah,
They don't have that many vehicles, do they? Because
no,
they've basically adapted the warriors to be moving tanks.
yeah,
So the destroyer Hexacheck or something. They just look spooky and scary,
yeah,
but the glowing is always cool.
yeah. Agreed.
And so you've got chromomancers who do the time shit. You've got the Overlord with this mega weapon arrow thing that is highly precise, and then another Overlord that has the phase shift, and the model just looks like it's phasing in and out of reality, so it can just go bing, and
Yeah,
appear elsewhere. It's their better version of teleporting.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I do like the way they do those models, but yeah, it would be a bit of a nightmare to paint.
You ain't wrong. That's for sure.
I do like the fact that they've changed it so that each Overlord, each Pharaon, they all have different codes of honor. Some
Yeah,
of them are very honorable and give warning and just go, no, this is the proper way to do battle. You give them 3 days' notice. They can either evacuate or if they give battle, but we can also pause the battle to let them surrender. And and people just go, no, we're just going to keep it. Go, right, sod it. So they sort of hold. Some of them will hold back a bit because they believe in. They have this weird honor code. Some of them don't give a shit and will just go and just massacre. But some of them sort of hold back a bit and then just get pissed off and then massacre
yeah.
a planet.
Oh God, Necrons are a lot of fun. I think the biggest thing that kind of gets in the way of collecting them is how much it costs potentially. They're kind of a horde army. It depends what you do with them because you can just load yourself with big models and that kind of thing. It's quite good fun.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah.
need quite a lot of little robots, don't you?
Definitely.
Yeah, they're definitely interesting though.
Anything else, Necron, we want to talk about before we wrap this up?
No, yeah. So I think they're just a really good example of giving much needed backstory to something, and they've now turned them into like one of the sort of the proper linchpins that everything revolves around.
100%. That's exactly it. They've done such a good job turning them into a really good army.
And just stuff like
They
Trajan's
are-
Vault is such a storytelling, like, well, I mean, anything could be in there, really, couldn't it? So, like, it's a bit of a get out of jail free card if you need something that shouldn't exist anymore or something like that.
They've become absolute masters of that, by the way, as well. Oh, look, it's all really open ended. Let's be honest. I almost think they'll bring Sanguinius back just as a big F you to say we'll do what we want.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, they should.
I hope
should
they do.
But like, I
hope
mean,
they
you know, like there's ways that like, you know, it could be like a Force ghost, couldn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
So there's definitely things they could.
They
do.
brought. I mean, you got Celestine, haven't you, from the Living Saints, who's a demon essentially.
Yeah.
Do the same thing with Sanguinius.
So yeah,
That might
so
be
they've
fun.
woken up. They've got two. There's two primal. So Lionel and Gilliman,
Yeah.
they're on different sides of the big hole in the galaxy, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they're not actually aware of each other still being around.
No, but it's coming.
'Cause
No,
Gilliman-
they know each other are around.
Oh, do they?
They haven't had a chance to speak to each other yet.
So there is some like communication between the
Yeah.
two sides.
And also, Lionel's going around forgiving a load of the fallen. So I have no idea what he would want from Gilliman. I almost wonder whether he would just want to go out and fight things, because that's kind of what he does. Or whether he's going to be pissed off that what his chapters become, which is these cynical assholes, essentially. And the Lion was one of those, to be fair. They haven't
Yeah,
changed.
they seem pretty
The
on
apple didn't
brand
fall
from how
great
they
from the
used to
tree,
be.
yeah.
What made him wake up? We're not doing Dark Angels, don't we?
No,
I can't remember.
It was the
Apart from
It was the attack-
the
it
market
was,
conditions being right
yeah.
for another.
it was Attack on the Rock.
Yeah.
And
And Luther
the
wasn't
Rock.
there either.
No, and because
Oh, that's it.
Vashtor,
Luther's disappeared, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's a big attack on the rock. Luther's disappeared, and Lionel's woken up.
Yeah. Yeah. Lionel and Luther, the combination we've wanted for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Be very aggressive though nowadays, if I'm honest with you. Yeah, I think that's about it.
but
Just a bunch of big fun robots.
yeah,
They really are fun. That's the best way.
there are
Fun bots.
definitely more characters, and I'm sure there'll be more released. But the general thing about Necrons is also the books are meant to be really good.
They're really
There aren't
interesting.
that many.
Yeah, I do need to read Infinite and Divine. I've not read that
Yeah.
one. I've got to read some proper books that don't have Space Marines in them.
Whoa! What do you mean proper books? You fucking snob.
I mean proper books. Come on. We're all into this stuff, but you wouldn't read one on the tube, would you?
Yes, I would, Russ, because you know why? I'm not a little bit ashamed of this shit.
Because you'd be doing it on your phone and nobody would be able to see.
Paul says it's taken a very long time. I got the very first White Dwarf with the free metal Necron on it. They released the tower and redid every other faction over before they got to improving them again. Yeah, admittedly, the tower needed improving
that was
as well.
about the time. So the Necrons were around, and the Tau had a Tau army.
I remember with the first Necron battle report when they had about 4 different models, and it was clearly incredibly difficult to put an army together.
It always is at first, though, isn't it? Like the Votan at the moment is still only just about getting to a point where there's enough models to have an interesting army.
Do you know who don't have enough models? Space Marines. That's who don't have enough models. They could use some more.
Yeah.
They got nothing.
Dan,
there are
let's wrap
more
this up
Ultramarines captains with names than there are models you can get for the AdMech.
They need more lieutenants. That's what the Space Marines need.
They need more really bespoke units. That's what I always felt the Space Marines
No,
need.
fuck you.
Right,
they
before
do
we
actually need more bespoke units, by the way. Like, if I'm a White Scars player, which I am, then I've got one thing, and it's a dude holding an eagle. And it's like, fuck you, I want to do it on a bike. Give me a dude on a bike.
I wasn't meaning that. I was meaning like the intercessors, the demolition lot.
Is it because they're still stuck in this?
Various...
You've got like the ones that have got enough stuff to have their own codex, and you've got everyone else who's just Space Marines.
Yep.
So like, even one of the more kind of well-known chapters, like the White Scars, doesn't really have much more to it than the random ones that people make up.
No, I mean, it's an entire army that want to go fast and want to be on bikes. But sure, there's absolutely nothing they could do about that at all. And also, in the meantime, they said, fuck you, White Scars players. We're taking away the captain on bike as well. Now you've only got a chaplain on bike. Go fuck yourselves.
Right, before we get onto the other gripe Dan has about who hasn't got new models and sufficient diversity in models, I think we better wrap that up now. Thank you very much, everyone. Yeah,
Russ reads James Joyce on thing.
Absolutely. With with
James Joyce
bits of the Horus Heresy books just stuck in the middle, so it's just the covers.
It's not really, it's porn.
Is that Warhammer you're reading? No, switch to Pornhub quickly. No, I'm watching this. Like,
right, come on, put yourselves together. Let's get out of here.
We're just normal men, like normal things.
The picture, the Gene Stealer cultist,
Paul.
The Gene Stealer cultist going, "We're just normal men," is one of my favourite stupid things all the time.
Holding all 3 of their arms.
Right, well,
yeah, all 3.
Thank you so
all
much,
3 arms
everyone.
in a sort of innocent shrug. Just normal men.
Right, before we totally dissolve into further silliness, thank you all very much for listening. You can check us out up on the socials at TMTOH on Twitter, on Instagram, probably on TikTok. I don't know, probably not on TikTok. Who knows? So, without further ado, Russ, thank you. Night.
Letters, boys.
Goodbye, Goodbye, Nimasaur Dandrek.
So this is the one time no one's asked me if we've got another pod coming up, and the answer is we do, and I actually need some input from it.
Woo.
Dan, do we have any other pods coming out?
Yes, we do, Duncan. Yes. So we are doing our yearly Marveling Marvel podcast now, which has become yearly. And we're going to we want, for all you cinephiles out there, like Michael Bolton, we want your top 10 films of the year sent in. Because we're going to be doing our top 10 films of the year podcast in the Christmas Gooch. And we will be, we want to compile it. So I'm getting it in now. So if you're listening to this, top 10 films of the year, send them in Discord or message us or something. Just I don't really care how I get it. Just send them in to us. Top 10 films of the year. And I can't wait because I've already compiled my top 10 films of the year, and I still need to watch Wonka, and I still need to watch Aquaman. I might not make them a list, to be fair. But there's another couple of other films. I want to see the... So have I, Paul. I've still got the second edition Ultra Ring Codex as well. I've also got Angels of Death as well while we're at it. And the Sisters of Battle.
Codex.
And the Chaos one as well.
Wrap it up.
And yeah, I still need to see Maestro. There's loads of films I still need to see. But I'm really excited because the top 10 was hard to whittle down to because I've seen loads of really good films this year. So
awesome.
Very excited.
You did a lot of whistling.
Cool. Send them in.
Love whistling. Yeah, and
whittling.
goodbye. Yeah.
And if you do want to join us on the Discord chat, rustling your nuts, join us on the Discord. The link is in the bio on Instagram and on Twitter. So do come along. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of silly chat. And you can just add to it. If there's a place you need to geek out and add some whatever comments, it's a safe place. Really is. Anyway, without further ado, see you soon. Russ, cue the music.